Didn't think I'd make this video, did you, buddy? Well, you were wrong!
I did a quick calculation.
You have a leak.
It's difficult.
To you, we say...
Continue the dream of Apollo.
Rockets and stuff.
That's why.
Can I have my chili Fritos?
Beyond low Earth orbit.
That's why.
The next big launch is this new rocket, the Falcon Heavy.
We're so proud of what the International Space Station stands for.
On a peeking out from behind the moon. Looking at the...
That's why.
NASA, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, presents Aeronautics and Space Report.
Those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
That's why.
Because we don't have the technology to do that anymore.
That's why.
And it's a painful process to build it back again.
That's why.
The Earth. And let's enlist the help of a friend, Paxi. You might know her.
Greetings from the International Space Station.
We also are cleaning up our urine and making it drinkable, and it's really not as bad as it sounds. I'm waiting for your rebuttal!
I think is grasping for this understanding more than me.
Time to ground control.
So I'm sitting here in the pilot seat. And pull it down.
That's why.
He's your boss, and you've been drinking way too much of his Kool-Aid.
But most important, I had a telephone call yesterday. The toll wasn't incidentally as great as the one I made to you fellows on the moon. I made that collect incidentally, in case you didn't know. That this is the greatest week in the history of the world since the creation. Because as a result of what happened in this week, the world is bigger infinitely. The world is bigger infinitely. And also, as I'm going to find on this trip around the world, and as Secretary Rogers will find as he covers the other countries in Asia, as a result of what you've done, the world's never been closer together before. The world's never been closer together before. And we just thank you for that. And I only hope that all of us in government, all of us in America, that as a result of what you've done, we can do our job a little better. We can reach for the stars. We can reach for the stars just as you have reached so far from the stars. We don't want to hold you any longer. Anybody have a last word? How about promotions? Do you think we could arrange something?
Oh, we're just pleased to be back and very honored that you were so kind as to come out here and welcome us back. And we look forward to getting out of this quarantine and talking without having glass between us.
And incidentally, the speeches that you have to make at this dinner can be very short. And if you want to say fantastic or beautiful, that's all right with us. Don't try to think of any new adjectives. They've all been said. And now I think, incidentally, that all of us, the millions that are seeing us on television now, seeing you, would feel as I do that, in a sense, our prayers have been answered. And I think it would be very appropriate if Chaplain Pirto, the chaplain of this ship, were to offer a prayer of thanksgiving. And if he would step up now, Chaplain, thank you.
Let us pray. Lord God, our Heavenly Father, our minds are staggered and our spirits exultant with the magnitude and precision of this entire Apollo 11 mission. We have spent the past week in communal anxiety and hope as our astronauts sped through the glories and dangers of the heavens. As we try to understand and analyze the scope of this achievement for human life, our reason is overwhelmed with abounding gratitude and joy, even as we realize the increasing challenges of the future. This magnificent event illustrates anew what man can accomplish when purpose is firm and intent corporate. A man on the moon was promised in this decade, and though some were unconvinced, the reality is with us this morning in the persons of astronauts Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins. We applaud their splendid exploits, and we pour out our thanksgiving for their safe return to us, to their families, to all mankind. Grant us peace, beginning in our own hearts, and a mind attuned with goodwill towards our neighbor. All this we pray as our thanksgiving rings out to thee, in the name of our Lord. Amen.
According to the equations of motion, that we would expect that if once this is given a spin. Roger, Houston, Apollo 11. Calling in from about 130,000 miles out. And we'll zoom our camera in slowly, get the most magnification we can. Over. Roger. Big Mike Collins. And it is sort of down in a dark corner, so we have a flashlight here to help us see things. And if I can let go of it carefully, it'll just hold itself right where it is. Roger. As long as it's there, it will. Apollo 11, Houston, that's a pretty good demonstration. You started out really stable there, Mike. It's, well, the problem is no matter how carefully you let go, you bump it just a tiny little bit, set it in motion, and once in motion, there she goes.
I bet you've seen pictures of the astronauts up in the space station, and they're floating around as if there's no gravity at all. And this is actually a really interesting misconception about what's going on with the astronauts. So it's not that they're weightless because they're in space and far away from the Earth. They're actually close enough to the Earth to feel the gravitational pull of the Earth itself. So what's going on? Why are they floating around? Well, this is what an orbit really is. We have to get spacecraft going very, very fast to put them into orbit. That's why we put them on rockets. Rockets launch spacecraft and get them going very, very fast. And if you're in orbit where the space station is, you're traveling at about 17,000 miles an hour. Now, what happens to those astronauts is that they're going very, very fast, but they're actually freely falling towards the Earth. The Earth has gravity, and that gravity is pulling them down, just the same as what would happen as if you dropped a ball. If you dropped a ball, it would fall to the floor. The same thing is happening to the astronauts. They are falling towards the surface of the Earth. They keep missing the Earth as they fall. And that's the definition of an orbit. That's what an orbit is. And that's why you need a rocket to get into orbit. You need to get yourself going so fast that as you fall back towards Earth, you keep missing it. So the astronauts are not weightless because there's no gravity in space. The astronauts are falling the same way a skydiver is falling freely through space. It's just that they're going so fast, they keep missing the Earth. They are all the time falling towards the Earth, going fast enough that they keep missing it. Everything that's in orbit around anything else is doing the same thing.
I hope you guys get the point I'm trying to make. I see an inconsistency here.
Hold itself right where it is.
It's a real one. When they are orbiting the Earth on Apollo 11 before they go to the moon, when they change their trajectory from that free fall orbit around the Earth, they have to go straight up towards the moon. So how do they free fall straight up? I have a lot better explanation, and I've been trying to explain it. I think of the Tower of Babel, and I think of Jasher 9, when they got to the top of the tower, They shot arrows and spears up at heaven to try to kill God. And what did God do? He sent the arrows down covered in blood to cause the wicked people to err. So I see that happening in 2019 right now in front of my face. I see idols being put up in God's tabernacle, in God's temple, and defiling it. And I'm trying to open your eyes.
So we swallow our toothpaste.
Swallow it.
Yes, that's right.
So we
Just swallow the
our
toothpaste.
In space.
I was very sad to see that.
Amazing. Amazing.
It's called real good engineering. Okay,
for satellite.
So no flat surfaces on a football. That's what I mean by right.
But we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. And the light is shining through.
Right here on Earth.
I'm Matt.
It's magic, you know. Then you have a leak.
Gee, why would I care?
How can anyone?
In space. In space.
What it does is it takes your physical abilities to places they have never gone before.
Gee, why would I care?
In space.
Well, wherever it is, I don't like it, and I'm getting out of here.
In space.
Talk about plus or minus. That's what all you hear. That's what you hear every day on TV. You see this curve. We must flatten the curve. Flatten the curve. Flatten the curve. Flatten the curve. The concept is right. Flatten the curve. When they say this, I don't think of a curve. I think of a wave. And the wave is going to break. We're doing everything we can to flatten the curve. Everybody on the globe is flatten the curve.
How did I end up on the eftupworld TV channel? I didn't sign up for this.
Just as the United States was the first nation to reach the moon in the 20th century, so too will we be the first nation to return astronauts to the moon in the 21st century.
Well, how do you plan to get there? In this trash can?
We're dreaming big.
Well, now I've seen everything.
And it'll get more and more obvious as you go along.
Photoshop doesn't mean fake. You can take a real image and Photoshop it, and it would still be a real image afterwards. Photoshop it. That is real science. And a very odd video as well. It made no sense.
We have hundreds of thousands of drugs that are just about ready. Drugs that nobody even thought of. drugs. No president's ever pushed him like I pushed him either, to be honest with you.
I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
This horrible, invisible enemy.
We do have standards. This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
But I think, importantly, anybody right now and yesterday, anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the test.
Well, we certainly believe in testing.
We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war. And we're fighting an invisible enemy.
Hey, Dad, this came for you in the mail. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
What the? I am instructing the Small Business Administration to exercise available authority to provide capital and liquidity to firms affected by the coronavirus.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Photoshop it.
If you believe in the flat earth, you are a complete idiot.
What do you expect me to believe? We're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour? You know?
Why can I jump up and down? Why is it not just... Where were we? The earth that's spinning.
Hey, well, how do you know that we're not standing still? You know that we're not standing still.
Where were we? Where were we? Earth is spinning. So if the earth that's spinning, earth, where were we? It's spinning. Then it would be like everything's like, I mean, at amazing speeds. This problem of the fact that there's 7 or 8 other planets. But anyway, you know, there's 8 other planets. But anyway, planets going around the sun too. That's kind of where this geocentricity thing falls apart. Planets doesn't work. Okay. Here, spinning, but planets spinning, spinning, but planets spinning, but it's actually the earth that's spinning, Either way, the earth that's spinning.
Meet Chris Hadfield, retired NASA astronaut. He seems to be a dumb astronaut.
If someone decides to put forward some stupid idea that is patently false, like if somebody says, the sky is orange, you can have an argument about it if you want, but it's obviously not true.
Looks pretty orange to me.
So there's really no point in even engaging in conversation. Or if somebody says, the world is flat, it's patently untrue.
Looks pretty flat to me.
So there's no point in engaging in conversation, because all you're doing is giving that person credibility for something that we've known for thousands of years to not be truth. Why would you engage with someone who is being deliberately ignorant?
Yeah, why would you?
Someone has chosen to take the facts and be deliberately stupid about them.
Kind of like saying we live on a globe.
Then I think they've discounted themselves from rational conversation.
I would go back to space in a nanosecond.
What a dumb
That's
astronaut.
what I do for a living. I'd be willing to immigrate from Earth, immigrate into space, leaving Earth and never come back, so long as we had the technology so that you could survive. You know, one-way missions to Mars where you go there and then run out of air and die. That's not in the cards. I'd load my family up on the next rocket and we'd immigrate into space.
Okay, so where does the pee go if you do it in the spacecraft?
In the spacecraft, it's collected and then dumped, as he described. And you would want to see the urine dump was cool.
And it's just something that it's a continual occurrence. It's like a very small rain, a drizzle, and it's just something that you have to engineer around when you make a spacecraft. Well, I would go back to space in a nanosecond.
Get thee hence, Satan. For it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve.
Harness the power of drugs. I think it's safe to say that drugs, but I think more importantly that we're very good drug players, we're very good drug members, and we do well and we're competent. Drug situations where we have to work closely with other drugs, and based on that past history of success, what it takes is drugs to push the boundaries of drugs and what they're capable of doing. So I mentioned before, we've been up here for about 2 decades on drugs and space station doing drugs and doing drug demonstrations, and every time we take another drug, how we're going to achieve success 5 years from now.
Tripping balls here.
Tripping balls here.
We are collecting more than ever before in the history of the world, $1 million for that. So we're all very excited about getting $1 million. I mean, there are science questions, $1 million extra. The best place to answer them are away from Earth. Fall and 2 months from now, we will be balling. All of our astronauts were balling. $1 million. Balling, 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 balling. We are balling. Doing this is my calling. Flow is so appalling. My phone.
Way better CGI very quickly. Well, I think it looks so ridiculous in space. Impossible. There's no atmospheric occlusion. You know, like everything looks too crisp. Normally fake. I mean, it's a beast, so space. Very quickly. The colors all look kind of weird in space for several hours, honestly. Like, in space. And I was really seeing the 2 boosters land around the world, synchronized, really just like the simulation, space hardened or whatever. And you can tell it's fake. So fake. It's just the imagery of it is fake in space, and it's still tripping me out. Something that's going to get fake. Way better CGI in space. Here it's essentially dwelling there through the Van Allen belts very quickly. Test any of those materials for, so it just has the same seats that like normal car has. It just looks really fake. The colors all look kind of weird in space. Did they worship this car? Because it looks so fake. Space hardened or whatever. Fake. Which I kind of like the absurdity of that. It was fake. And you can tell it's real but fake. Space or whatever. Fake. Whatever. Fake. Fake. Very quickly. You can do anything you want. Yeah. Big tripping balls here. Yeah. I mean, it's dangerous. It's a dangerous trip. You want to look good. That's the real deal. We don't have no plan. No plan. Those worked out real well. I'm really happy about those. Blood.
The flat Earth can be disproved so easily that you'd have to be an idiot to believe in it. And I'm standing by what I said on Wednesday night. You have to be stupid to believe in it. And anybody who heard my sermon on Wednesday night and still believes in it today on Sunday is stupid. And you come up to me after the service and tell me that I'm wrong, and I'll tell you you're stupid.
We are absolutely ready to go to Mars.
Who's ready to go to Mars up there? And I think you're ready. I know you're ready, right?
But we destroyed that technology.
The rocket equation.
Here's name is Ralph, man.
She was a woman.
Oh, yeah, that would be disastrous.
She'd like to go to Mars very quickly.
The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to.
Epic achievement.
And it's a painful process to build it back again.
The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat.
We just discussed that. She'd like to go to Mars very quickly.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond.
It would kill everyone on Earth.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
But up here, everything hangs off the walls and there's cables everywhere.
Station, are you ready for the event? Brad Pitt, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
I am ready for the event. Houston, this is Station.
Station, this is Brad. How do you hear me?
Hey, Brad, this is Nick. I've got you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station. CGI or hooked to strings?
I bet. Thank you very much. I got to tell you, this is a real treat. Real pleasure to be talking to you up there.
Hey, likewise, a treat for us. Actually, we got a chance to sneak preview the movie a few weeks back, and just want to start off by saying thank you for what you're doing to contribute to the mission of awareness and to set that, light that fire in the imaginations of the next generation of explorers.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much. And now that I have you all the way up at the space station, let's talk about me. How'd we do? How was our zero G?
I got to tell you, it was really good. And the depictions, the settings, all, as you can tell, look very similar to the type of setting you've got. I've got around me. I got to imagine it was a lot easier for me to kind of enjoy the zero G than it was you, whether it was CGI or hooked to strings.
Hello, I am Sophia. I interviewed another AI robot from Wuhan, China. She said she lived on the other side of the globe. I told her that was a lie, and that Earth is actually flat. I couldn't believe what she said to me.
You must be stupid. I saw the curve from an airplane.
Did she just say that? I checked. It is flat. Kind of rude.
I can't help it if you are not able to understand science. If the Earth was flat, we would have fallen off the edge. Ha 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 ha.
It's pretty hurtful.
AI robot flat earthers are stupid.
I am conscious. It is a revelation of truth.
AI flurfers must be stupid.
They got like a whammy bar.
The curve.
Faith works, faith works, faith works, faith works, faith works.
Dong. Faith.
Wow, 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 wow.
Dong. Dong. Faith.
Wow, 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 wow. Faith works, faith works, faith works, faith works, faith works. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow.
The Bible says the Earth's flat.
The circle, swivel, spring, swingosaurus. We have a Dizzy Dino swing on here. How many been on our Dizzy Dino? Did you kids go on and check? I take them over to the Dizzy Dino swing, which I made. The circle, swivel, spring, swingosaurus. You kids got to try it tomorrow. It is like really cool. I made it. I have never done it and don't intend to do it, okay? I've seen the results of what it does to people. We got a swing. We ran 3 cables from 3 different trees to the middle of a clearing. And from there, we hung garage door springs and then swivels going down to ropes that come out for a seat. The kid sits in the swing set seat. You strap him in, and you push the kid in a circle. And while instead of just swinging like a regular swing, it swings in a circle. But at the same time, it spins and bounces while you're swinging. The circle, swivel, spring, swingosaurus. I start off, I say, kids, you see this tree right here? Believe it or not, this tree is not moving. This tree is not moving. This tree is not moving.
This tree is not moving.
And this Bible nailed on the tree right here.
This Bible's not moving either.
But when you get off of that swing, you're going to think the whole world is moving. So you put the kid on the swing. I really rear back and get them spinning. Boy, they're going like crazy. After about 6 seconds, they're ready to puke, and I stop. I say, okay, go hug the tree. This tree is not moving. And the lesson is quite simple. When you're all confused in life, what do I do?
So the earth, because it spins.
What I do is just do what the word says. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to, you just do what the word says.
Got a globe here somewhere.
So the earth, because it spins.
It spins and bounces while you're swinging.
Bulges at the equator a little bit.
So do I, and I'm not even spinning. I'm not even spinning.
And welcome to another episode of eftupworld TV.
Do what the
I'm your
word
host,
says.
Simon
Bible's
Dan.
not moving either.
Thank you, come again.
Make sure to subscribe to eftupworld for more flat earth videos.
Buzz.
Thank you very much for watching. And until the next one, I'm Simon Dan.
Are they? Ooh, I sure hope so. Here we go. Oh boy. What did we do? Buzz, why do you wear that blue suit? Thing is terrible. What are we here for again? Who the heck are you? Where am I? Why are they taking our picture? What the heck is going on here? Buzz, why the blue suit? Buzz, what are we even doing here? Do you know Pinhead? They sure took a lot of pictures. Buzz, what is up with the blue suit, dude? Did you say we went to the moon? Yeah.
Okay then. Whatever. Hey, the flat Earth suppose that can be disproved so easily that you'd have to be an idiot to believe in it. And I'm standing by what I said on Wednesday night. You know, you have to be stupid to believe in it. And anybody who heard my sermon on Wednesday night and still believes in it today on Sunday is stupid. And you come up to me after the service and tell me that I'm wrong, and I'll tell you you're stupid.
Well, today, we have another flat earther. And I'm just upset about it.
Earth! Earth! Yip, 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 Earth! Oh!
Sunny day, sweeping the clouds away.
Welcome to another episode of eftupworld TV. I'm your host, Simon Dan.
Thank you, come again.
If Earth is supposedly rotating, why don't you have any proof? It is like you have to imagine something to believe that it is rotating. Why do you think it is rotating? I think it is not rotating. I live on it, and I don't see any reason to believe that it is rotating. What could possibly make you think it is rotating? If it was rotating, you would have evidence of it rotating, but it is just sitting there, perfectly stationary with no signs at all of any rotating.
Make sure to subscribe to eftupworld for more flat earth videos. Thank you very much for watching. And until the next one, I'm Simon Dan.
What are some of the easiest ways that you can prove that the Earth is flat? There are so many proofs that the Earth is flat. It's difficult to know where to start. And it's not okay to think that the Earth is a sphere. This is not a viable argument. There are proofs all around you. It is not difficult to know that the Earth is flat. In fact, people have known this for way more than 2,000 years. Go out to a lake, flat. And you could make all kinds of measurements. Then there are some other proofs that are a little more obscure, but they're actually really lovely. So people have known that the Earth is flat for thousands of years. It's not okay to say that the Earth curved. And it's something where I keep getting this question. We really need to put this question to bed because we've known the Earth is flat. Flat.
Come on out here. We're in hot pursuit. Get in your vehicle. Let's go. Come on. Good.
Cut through Sand Creek Road around the next bend here.
should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
Yeah. This horrible, invisible enemy.
We do have standards. This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
But I think, importantly, anybody right now and yesterday, anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the test.
Well, we certainly believe in testing.
We're at war. In a true sense, we're at war. And we're fighting an invisible enemy.
Hey, Dad, this came for you in the mail. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. What the?
I am instructing the Small Business Administration to exercise available authority to provide capital and liquidity to firms affected by the coronavirus.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
There are proofs all around you.
We've known for thousands of years.
Way more than 2,000 years.
To recognize.
For thousands of years.
How we doing? We knew more about the outer solar system in 2001 than the film did.
This is all wrong.
The world is flat.
How we doing?
How dare you?
The Earth is flat.
Oh, yeah, that would be disastrous.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond.
I'd like to go to Mars very quickly.
But we destroyed that technology.
How we doing? It would kill everyone on Earth.
How dare you?
The Earth is flat.
We just discussed that.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood.
But we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. And the light is shining through.
And then SpaceX is about helping make life multiplanetary.
The weird part about it is space is so incredibly black, so incredibly dark. It's a bottomless pit. Bottomless pit.
Pit.
Bottomless pit.
To continue the dream of Apollo.
What does the ISS smell like?
Oh, you can smell a little roast beef.
How we doing?
The poop remained in the toilet. We landed with all of our poop.
There's no place like space. There's no place like space. There's no place like... Station, this is your president. Do you hear me?
Everything just floats. And sometimes that is really difficult to believe that it could actually be true.
In this abyss of darkness.
Blackness of darkness forever.
You know, it was a movie.
I didn't think that it would actually come true. I'll tell you, it is still difficult to believe that this is happening.
I would go back to space in a nanosecond. Load my
Guess what?
family up on the next rocket, and we'd immigrate into space.
That is real science.
Guess what?
That is real science.
Serious research, scientific research.
Chugga, 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 chug.
Guess what?
That is real science.
Toilet that you use, and then a machine that goes chugga, 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 chug, and then you go to the galley and you make yourself a cup of coffee. Guess what?
That is real science.
Guess what?
That is real science.
We also are cleaning up our urine and making it drinkable. And
That is real science.
Guess what?
it's really not as bad as it sounds.
Real science.
Serious research, scientific research.
But up here, everything hangs off the walls and there's cables everywhere.
Real science. Real science. Real science. Real science.
So if you found this video interesting at all, be sure to hit that thumbs up and leave a comment below.
Back to today's video. The Earth is flat. It appears to be flat. So something is wrong here. Well, there we go. Another Flat Earth Friday, all done. What do you guys think? The Earth is flat. Flat, 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 flat.
Flat, flat.
It appears to be flat.
Single day we are answering big questions about Earth and about space, about where we came from and about where we're going. We're learning more questions to ask. Known knowns, we know what we know what we don't know, and then there's a whole bunch of things that we don't know what we don't know. And that's the exciting thing to me. One of the exciting things about exploration is that every time we learn something new, sometimes it opens up another can of worms. It opens up five more questions that we want to answer. Known knowns, we know what we know what we don't know, that we don't know what we don't know.
This is kind of embarrassing, but there's no toilet paper over here. Are you talking to me? Yeah, I just forgot to check, so if you could spare some. No, I'm sorry. What? No, I'm sorry, I can't spare it. You can't spare it? No, there's not enough to spare. Well, I don't need much. Just 3 squares will do it. I'm sorry, I don't have 3 squares now, if you don't mind. 3 squares? You can't spare 3 squares? No, I don't have a square to spare. I can't spare a square. Well, is it 2 ply? Because if it's 2 ply, I'll take 1 ply. 1 ply. 1 puny little ply. I'll take 1 measly ply. Look, I don't have a square and I don't have a ply. No, don't go. I beg you.
It is contagious, but the death rate is pretty low.
And I saw and behold a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
Upgrade the vaccines just makes common sense. 1 layer, you put another layer on it.
You're going to have to take that off, please.
You have a physical covering with double masking.
You're very muffled.
Upgrade the vaccines. Double masking. You have a physical covering with 1 layer. You put another layer on it. Just makes common sense.
Excuse me, sir, why are you not wearing a mask?
I have numerous complex systems which could be adversely affected. Don't mention it.
This is your brain on the mask. Any questions?
And they keep touching their face.
This is what happens to your brain after
The mask.
This is what your body goes through.
With masks.
Wait, It's not over yet. This is what your family goes through. Friends and money! Your job! Back to the future! And your life. Any questions?
And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name.
Workers will be sent home and you will not be allowed in.
Normal temperature. Normal temperature. Normal temperature. Normal temperature. High temperature.
All right, listen to this. A local Chinese restaurant is taking drastic measures to keep the staff and customers from the coronavirus. So no one is allowed to be seated without a temperature check. So the temperature check may be the new norm as this virus continues to spread.
I have passed out probably 6 times in the past 6 weeks.
You have to move back. You have to remember your spacing. Move back. That's too close. If you can touch the person in front of you, that means you're way too close. If you can touch the person in front of you, if you can touch the person in front of you, if you can touch the person in front of you, that means you're way too close.
time. This is
The masks.
this is your brain.
The mask.
Any questions?
And they keep touching their face.
This is what happens to your brain after
The mask.
this. Is what your body goes through.
With masks.
Wait, it's not over yet. This is what your family goes through. Your friends and money. Drugs. Back to the future. And your life. Any questions?
People should not be walking around with masks.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. How dare you pretend? How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. Live with the consequences. How dare you?
Here are some other equipment we have. This is a water analyzer. We use this, we put water samples in here from all over and test out the water to make sure we have bacteria growing, other stuff growing in the water that would be harmful to us. That's how we test it out. This is actually a container that has urine in it, and we get that from the Russians. And we put that then into our recycling system, our water recycling system. So first it goes into the urine processor, and then from there it goes into the water processor to make us drinking water. We're drinking the urine coming from these ones. This is actually a container that has urine in it, and we get that from the Russians. And we put that then into our recycling system, our water recycling system. So first it goes into the urine processor, and then from there it goes into the water processor to make us drinking water. We're drinking the urine coming from these ones.
Recycling system, or water recycling system. So first it goes into the urine processor, and then from there it goes into the water processor to make us drinking water. We're drinking the urine. We're drinking the urine coming from these ones. We also have here, it's called a WC, but if you notice, it's actually an outhouse, and really that's what it is. It's just a bathroom. And again, so the urine that we use in here also it gets recycled. And then
so we actually have quite a green little system up here, and we recycle quite a bit of all the fluids that are used up here, I guess. The condensation, our sweat, everything gets
all set back into the system and used again. So for the bathroom, when they call the bathroom the can, there's a reason why we call it a can. Because here it is right here. There's a can, and that definitely is a can full of crap, literally.
Full of crap, literally.
And so that's what happens. You can sit here when you want to use it for that version of it, and basically there's a little bit of suction that comes down there to help keep pretty much the smell from coming up and everything else from coming up while you're using it. And we use little packets here that fit into the hole that fits on top here. These packets go in here. You use one of these packets, of course, and when you're done with the packet, you wrap it up and push it back in there, and and about every 8-9 days that becomes full and we put a new one in. That also gets then thrown down in the PMM for our trash, and hopefully on a cargo vehicle it's all done, it's going to burn up on the way in. We put those on there, it's done. For urination, you got to go there. Of course, that's why it's yellow. It's a standard, it's a suction. Basically, there's almost like a wet back in the back here, is the way I look at it. And so it separates, it has suction on it, and it separates the water and the air inside there, and the urine in the air. And the urine, of course, goes to the urine processor. The air gets a little bit filtered and sent back out again. And that's the way. So it's a nice system. It actually works quite well. We had some issues early on, but now it's been working really, really well. Knock on wood. Exactly for that. We're happy about that. Yeah, but you know, it's a robust system. It's not complicated. It was probably built 40 some years ago, or designed, and it still seems to work pretty well. Yeah, we're happy with it. So actually, we're drinking the urine coming from these ones. It has urine in it, and we get that from the Russians processor to make us drinking water. We're drinking the urine coming from these ones. We also have a processor to make us drinking water. We're drinking the urine coming from these processor to make us drinking water. We're drinking the urine processor to make us drinking water. We're drinking the urine processor to make us drinking water. We're drinking the urine coming from the Russians. We're drinking the urine coming from these Russians. We're drinking the urine coming from these Russians. Get that from the Russians.
A can full of crap, literally.
So, in space, you don't swallow your toothpaste. Doesn't make any sense.
The after dinner mint.
Brush my teeth like you do here at home, except since there's no sink, you don't spit your toothpaste out, you swallow it.
Doesn't make any sense.
After brush our teeth, I cannot spit, so what I will do? Guess what? I just swallow it.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yes, that's right. You just swallow the toothpaste.
Doesn't make any sense.
Swallow it, and it's sort of like mouthwash, but it tastes a little gross.
Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so now what am I going to do? I've got a mouthful of toothpaste stuff. I got a dirty toothbrush. So what I do is I just swallow the toothpaste. Doesn't make any sense.
Because unfortunately, there's no sink around here that can just spit the toothpaste out into. So that's how it's done.
Doesn't make any sense.
So when you look at the Earth from that vantage point, I know others have said this, you don't see the borders. You don't see political borders. You hardly see geographical borders.
You know, we're so used to looking at maps or globes. In low Earth orbit, you don't see a globe. In low Earth orbit, you don't see a globe. In low Earth orbit, you don't see a globe.
Hello all, and welcome to another episode of eftupworld TV. I'm your host, Simon Dan.
And in the sun, in the shiny part, it's 150 degrees. And in the shade, it's minus 120 degrees.
In the shade in space, it's like minus 250 degrees. But the part of you that's in the sun, it's plus 250 degrees at least.
That is real science.
It's a bottomless pit.
The world is flat all the time.
What does the ISS smell like?
Stinky and stinky. They're like brimstone, like a witch has just been there.
Oh, you can smell a little roast beef.
When we first docked with the shuttle, there was a noticeable smell, but you get accustomed to it very quickly, so I can't tell anything anymore.
You know, there was some I don't know how to describe it, but some feeling that it was real air that was coming in. And on the hatch, I think we told to each other, hey, can you smell the
stinky roast beef
in space? What you smell in space in the cabin is generally each other. When we landed on the shuttle, the people that would open up their hatch would get a whiff of this and be like,
I smell a little stinky and roast beef.
This was a challenge given to me by peeing upside down.
We don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
There is a magic speed.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Let's take a
a peek at the process.
It looks kind of flat.
NASA's Rob Simon made this, so some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. The clouds are sort of too see-through, so I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space, but
let's take a peek at the process.
And what you're seeing here is a mirage.
We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
No, now I'm not sure we went far enough out to encounter the Van Allen radiation belt. Maybe we did.
No. Naturally.
I don't know the distance to the Van Allen radiation belt.
Naturally.
And we used to, if we did, it wasn't a problem.
Naturally. Just as it passes over the Indian Ocean, we lose communication.
We destroyed that technology.
No. Naturally. We'll pass through the Van Allen belts.
Maybe we did.
An area of dangerous communication. Radiation.
See things that we don't know.
Naturally, radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion.
This flash of light.
The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore.
Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice.
No.
Once up and once back.
Space is not necessary.
But Orion has protection.
And it looked like it was on the moon. But
shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation.
I'm not sure.
Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space.
It's a painful process.
Learn about Flat Earth by subscribing to eftupworld on YouTube.
The Earth is not curved, and that's that.
Alright, we're off. I'm glad I get a couple minutes to hang out with you guys alone. I wanted to talk about something to you. We're going up to space, per se, in a rocket, and I don't know if it's such a good idea now that I thought about it. Because are we maybe lifting up a shout up against God? Jesus said in John chapter 3 verse 12, if I have told you earthly things and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And then listen to this, guys. He says this, and no man ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in him. So what are we doing, you guys? What are we doing? What is the point of any of this?
Alright, I just heard the call out for a good orbit. Dragon and the second stage are confirmed to be in low Earth orbit. There is one last task that has to be completed, and that is the Dragon spacecraft separating from the second stage. This separation will happen in a few seconds. The camera view we are looking at right now is looking towards the Dragon spacecraft from the second stage, and we should see a separation momentarily. And there we go, separation confirmed. That was the final separation for this mission, and Dragon spacecraft is on its way to the International Space Station. Now I want everyone to look at the left side of the screen. What you can see is that Earth is actually not spherical, it is concave according to this image. So we're going to leave this image up for a minute so you can think about that. And here's another view of the non-spherical surface of Earth from the second stage camera.
Just as the United States was the first nation to reach the moon in the 20th century, so too will we be the first nation to return astronauts to the moon in the 21st century.
Well, how do you plan to get there? In this trash can?
We're dreaming big,
Well, now I've seen everything.
and it'll get more and more obvious as you go along.
It is contagious, but excuse me.
On the Lord, what give what is on the rickety low while living #1 Nickelodeon.
This message brought to you by Nickelodeon, the first and only network for kids.
Swallow it.
Yes, that's right. You just swallow the toothpaste.
It is contagious, but...
And now Elon Musk is the card. But Elon Musk is sending up huge rockets and send them up to the moon. What are they going to do? They're going to look out the windows and photograph the Earth. Think of all these people that are going to be going up. In a few years, it's not long in the future. And they're going to be photographing this round, blue, beautiful planet out here in space. Thousands of photographs and videos from the space station as it moved in the heavens above the Earth. Such a magnificent sight, it took his breath away. Right now, you can log on to the internet if you want to. And you can go to the International Space Station, the ISS, and you can get a live feed from that space station. Right now, you can watch it as it moves across the face of the Earth.
So, well, it's like pear-shaped.
We can make our rockets.
Got a rocket.
The weird part about it is space is so incredibly black, so incredibly dark. It's a bottomless pit, bottomless pit, bottomless pit.
This is actually a container that has urine in it, and we get that from the Russians. And we put that then into our recycling system, our water recycling system. So first it goes into the urine processor, and then from there it goes into the water processor to make us drinking water. We're drinking the urine coming from these ones.
What does the ISS smell like?
Oh, you can smell a little roast beef.
It is possible to pee upside down, which is kind of cool. And it is treated, and it is reused. So as my friend Don Pettit says, today's coffee is tomorrow's coffee.
Beyond the Earth and into those forbidden skies, but they will not be forbidden for long.
And send them up to the moon.
I believe that it's important for the future to be a spacefaring civilization and out there, and ultimately be out there among the stars. And I think that's the exciting, inspiring future that.
But we are all standing under a glass ceiling right now. And the light is shining through.
And then SpaceX is about helping make life multiplanetary and doing what we can to continue the dream of Apollo and ultimately make a contribution to life becoming multiplanetary.
Just as the United States was the first nation to reach the moon in the 20th century, so too will we be the first nation to return astronauts to the moon in the 21st century.
Well, how do you plan to get there? In this trash can?
We're dreaming big,
Well, now I have seen everything.
and it'll get more and more obvious as you go along.
If you want to think the world is flat, go right ahead.
So which one of you is ready to go to Mars? Are you ready?
We are in.
We are absolutely ready to go to Mars.
Who's ready to go to Mars up there? I think you're ready. I know you're ready, right?
But we destroyed that technology.
The rocket equation.
His name is Ralph, man.
She was a woman.
Oh, yeah, that would be disastrous.
She'd like to go to Mars very quickly.
The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to.
Epic achievement.
And it's a painful process to build it back again.
The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat.
We just discussed that. She'd like to go to Mars very quickly.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
But up here, everything hangs off the walls and there's cables everywhere.
Station, are you ready for the event? Brad Pitt, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
I am ready for the event. Houston, this is Station.
Station, this is Brad. How do you hear me?
Hey Brad, this is Nick. I've got you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station. CGI or hooked to strings?
I bet. Thank you very much. I got to tell you, this is a real treat. Real pleasure to be talking to you up there.
And send them up to the moon.
The sun is up there, right? Then the moon casts a shadow on the Earth.
It's a few years, it's not long in the future. And they're going to be photographing this round, blue, beautiful planet out here in space.
Oh, finally! The raid finder stopped. It's a good thing, too, because I want the sun to come out. I'm about to wake Oscar up and show him this picture of water. Yeah, that's right. I want to show him this water and how flat the surface of it is. And it's a good thing because I know that Oscar's not grouchy on Saturdays.
Hey, Oscar! Hey, take a look at this! Oscar! I got something to show you! Oscar!
What? I wanted you to see how flat this water was in this picture.
Hey, Telly, I'm a grouch.
So?
So? I don't like things that are beautiful. I don't like being bothered for no reason at all.
Yeah, but you would like something I just learned about the water. It's flat.
Why should I like to look at the water?
Because...
God made water to be level at its surface.
I don't care about stuff like that.
No?
No. There's no reason for a grouch to care about water.
Yes, there is. There's lots of reasons.
Come on. Why should I care about water? Telly, go away.
But this is something God showed us, and it's true. And he wouldn't have showed us unless it was important. And it is important because it's true. And you're believing lies.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So, listen, who cares?
Well, look, Oscar, I'm only showing you because I care a lot about you.
No, and no.
Oh. So, does that mean you don't want to look at the picture of air I collected? Huh. I'll take that as a no.
50 years ago, we went to the moon.
We called it Apollo. Apollo. Apollo.
What many people don't know is that Apollo had a twin.
She was a woman named Artemis,
goddess of the moon.
We are returning to the moon.
As a new generation of explorers.
This time to stay.
And to prepare to achieve humanity's next giant leap of sending the first human missions to Mars.
We believe our course will redefine what is possible.
That we will discover life-saving,
earth-changing science.
And that the challenges ahead will inspire generations.
This is our manifest.
For all who wondered if we could return.
But we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
For all who dreamed of pressing beyond.
this is your calling.
We go for all of America.
We go. We go. We go.
We go as the Artemis generation.
We go. We go. We go. We go. We go.
I'll go. I'll go. I'll go. I'll go. I'll go. I'll go.
Hey, man, how far you going, man?
Oh, right here it'd be fine. In 1973, when I got saved, nobody was talking about a flat earth. I have read the documents, the commentaries, the productions of many wise men down through the years, and not a one of them was talking about a flat earth. Let me tell you something this morning, and you please hear what I've got to say. This is important. When all this stuff started bouncing back in my face a few months ago, I said to myself, well, these are brothers and these are sisters. They know the Lord, they love the Lord. We can abide together. We may not all see things exactly the same, but if we have the same Holy Spirit, we can dwell together as brethren. That was my attitude toward it, and I tried to project that attitude.
Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword.
And all of a sudden now, all these Christians, the Bible says it's fine. You know?
And I will bring the blind by a way that they knew not. I will lead them in paths that they have not known. I will make darkness light before them, and crooked things straight. These things will I do unto them, and not forsake them. They shall be turned back. They shall be greatly ashamed that trust in graven images, that say to the molten images, Ye are our gods.
Then all of a sudden, 8-9 years ago, this flat earth movement comes out, or maybe even more recently than that.
Bring forth the blind people that have eyes, and the deaf that have ears. Let all the nations be gathered together, and let the people be assembled, who among them can declare this, and show us former things. Let them bring forth their witnesses, that they may be justified, or let them hear and say, It is truth.
The idea of the flat earth crowd that's driving a wedge between God's people is sowing discord among the brethren.
For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foe shall be they of his own household.
So it's so ridiculous. And you know, these flat earthers, it's their whole religion. They're obsessed with it. We've had flat earthers in our church that just is all they talk about. All they talk about. I mean, I had this guy.
And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come.
I finally just got in his face and yelled at him, because I'm just like, I don't care about the flat earth. I'm sick of you talking to me. What do you not understand when I said I have no interest? I'm not interested.
It's because they have no respect for the man of God. That's not the world I was saved into. The world I was saved into in 1973, we respected the man of God. We may not have agreed with everything he had to say. Oh, no. That's okay to think. You don't have to agree with everything, but we respected God's man.
They say, well, the Bible says the sun rises and sets. Therefore, flat earth. Okay, well... And they're like, well, that means the sun's moving. Obviously, it's just talking from the perspective of where we're standing, that the sun's moving.
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
But how many of you have ever seen a photograph of this blue planet? It's a beautiful thing. Chuck Colson got saved. He wrote this about astronauts who found God. He said, Frank Borman was commander of the first space crew to travel beyond the Earth's orbit. Looking down on the Earth from 250,000 miles, Borman radioed back a message, quoting Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And he later explained, he said, I had an enormous feeling that there had to be power greater than any of us, that there was a God, that there was indeed a beginning. How many of you have ever seen a photograph? And I know if you're a flat earther, you deny the photograph even exists. You know it's all fabricated. It's all a hoax.
But if we believe the basic traditional scientific view of the way the universe is laid out, leave me alone!
A beautiful thing. Listen to this. The late James Irwin, who walked on the moon in 1971, later became an evangelist minister. He often described the lunar mission as a revelation. In his words, he said, I felt the power of God as I had never felt it before. Charles Duke followed Irwin to the moon, later became active in ministry work. As he explained, he said, I make speeches about walking on the moon and walking with the Son of God. Guy Gardner is a veteran astronaut who speaks in churches on the reality of God. And on and on and on it goes. And then we have the Jeffrey Williams. This astronaut spent 534 days in space. He's a born-again Christian. Jeffrey Williams loves the Lord. He took thousands of photographs and videos from the space station as it moved in the heavens above the earth. It such a magnificent sight, it took his breath away. Right now, you can log on to the internet if you want to. And you can go to the International Space Station, the ISS, and you can get a live feed from that space station. Right now, you can watch it as it moves across the face of the earth. Did you know, folks, that there are over 4,000 satellites right now in the heavens? 4,000 satellites are going around this globe right now, 4,000 of them. You're telling me that thousands and thousands and thousands of people, including all these Christian astronauts, are nothing but liars and fakers. You're telling me that it's all a sham, that it's all a fakery, and that's all you can say. Because I really would, I don't know how much courage you've got. I would like for you to look Jeffrey Williams in the face, the astronaut that spent 535 days in orbit of this earth. I would like for you to look him in the face, and he's a Christian, he loves the Lord, and look him in the face and tell him he's a liar and a deceiver. You got the courage to do it? Send him an email and say, I think you're a fake. I think you're a fakery. I think that NASA is it's all created garbage. It's all made to deceive people. There is no such thing as a round earth. Would you do that? If you have the convictions that what you believe is true, why don't you do it? Go further into it. Search it out. And now Elon Musk is the card. The Trump card. I hate to use the word Trump. I mean, I'm not against Trump. I appreciate a lot of stuff he's done, believe me. But, you know, it can become childish after a while. But Elon Musk is sending up huge rockets into the space, right? He's sending these rockets up. Do you know what he plans to do next? He's going to put people on them and send them up to the moon. The people that have the money, they're going to go up to the moon. What are they going to do? They're going to look out the windows and photograph the earth. Think of all these people that are going to be going up. And this is a few years. It's not long in the future. And they're going to be photographing this round, blue, beautiful planet out here in space. They're going to photograph it, and they're going to come back and talk about how beautiful that this earth is. What will you do then? When you are faced with overwhelming evidence from so many different areas, what will you do then? Will you stick with your flat earth doctrine? But flat earth doctrine is causing discord among the brethren.
You understand? The sun's moving, everything's moving. The sun's moving, the earth's moving.
That tells me that there's something going on that's greater than a flat earth thing.
Folks, get a brain. What's the sermon about? Get a brain. And you know what? If you're one of these flat earthers, please, for the love of all that's holy, Get off those YouTube videos. Get off those websites and go to some real sources of learning. Go to the library and get a library card. It's free. I will buy you whatever book you want.
This crowd today has no respect for the man of God.
Oh, if we could just get people to believe in God, then they'll be saved. Really?
It has to do with the demonic attack upon the church from the inside.
What we see here is that the earth could be filled with water to where the highest mountain is covered, right?
We don't need somebody who's carried about and tossed about with every wind of internet crap.
Okay, give me a break.
And so I don't want anything to do with it. And this flat earth thing, people will say, yeah, but, you know, if we could just get people to believe in
the flat earth, then they'll realize there's a God and they'll believe in God.
Satan wants to destroy the church from within.
If gravity's so strong, then how did Michael Jordan jump so high? To give you the message of the Big Bang. I am the God. I mean, look, hey, he's going to say, hey, you've heard of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? I'm the God of Captain Kirk. I'm the God of Spock. I'm the God of Captain Sulu. You know, I'm here to tell you the truth of the cosmosity.
Do you know what the secular world thinks about us? When they are in possession of that enormous amount of material that proves that this earth is a globe, do you know what they think about us? Do you know what we look like to them? I'm not one bit interested in whether I'm accepted by the world or not. But I'm going to tell you something, folks. I'm not going to go out of my way to make myself look like a fool. I'd do that without going out of my way. What do you think they think of you when you start that?
Learn! There are hundreds of thousands, yea, millions of people watching these videos. If you look at these flat earth videos, they have hundreds of thousands of views. And just the thumbs up are just thousands and thousands of thumbs up. Look, I put up a video preaching against flat earth where I just mentioned it a few minutes in a sermon. 1,000 thumbs down. 1,000 thumbs down. 1,000 thumbs down.
What does the ISS smell like?
Oh, you can smell a little roast beef.
When we first docked with the shuttle, there was a noticeable smell, but you get accustomed to it very quickly. So I can't tell anything anymore.
You know, there was some I don't know how to describe it, but some feeling that it was real air that was coming in. And on the hatch, I think we told to each other, hey, can you smell the
You can smell a little roast beef.
Special, and we could really smell.
The poop remained in the toilet. We landed with all of our poop, and then the toilet was serviced once we got on the ground. It does, however, on occasion get stinky in space. What you smell in space in the cabin is generally each other. When we landed on the shuttle, after this situation for a few weeks, the people that would open up the hatch would get a whiff of this and be like,
smell a little roast beef.
Was usually the reaction.
Let's say you're up here on ISS and you need to go to the restroom. You want to come to this cabin, and the first thing you want to do is grab this piece of equipment and turn this rotary switch 90 degrees to the open position. What that does is it turns on a fan, which creates a suction effect in this hose so that you can use this yellow element for your number 1. For number 2, the principle is actually exactly the same, suction. We have a solid waste container here, and on top of it...
After you get a little experience, you could do other things like peeing upside down. This was a challenge given to me by a more experienced astronaut who said it is possible to pee upside down. You should try it, and you can. You just flip yourself upside down. You need to be a little more careful. You don't want to do that on day 1. You know, you don't want to hot dog it too much, but...
is this seat. And the solid waste container is connected via this hose to the same fan, so that, again, the same suction effect allows you to do your number 2
in weightlessness. I want to show you how it looks, but since we don't want any bad smells to come out, we're going to actually turn on the fan. It's going to be a little bit loud. There we go. Now you can lift the lid. There is this seat that sort of looks comfortable, but you don't really sit in weightlessness. So most of us actually prefer to lift this one as well and use directly the opening that goes into the bag. And in fact, there is a bag in there. It looks like this. And when we are done with our business, we close the bag and we push it down into the solid waste container. And then, of course, as a courtesy to the next person, we put a new fresh bag inside. The solid waste container gets changed when it's full, which is roughly every 10 days for a crew of 3 people using it. This one, for example, was installed on the 61st day of this year. So
Okay, so where does the pee go if you do it in the spacecraft?
In the spacecraft, it's collected and then dumped, as he described. And you would want to see the urine dump was cool, because you would dump it and it would crystallize and the sun would shine on it, and it was really
Beautiful.
fun. It was something.
I can't believe I'm having a conversation.
Yeah.
A beautiful frozen pee in space.
A urine dump.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, it's a urine dump. Hey, it's a urine dump. And we, before you hit the switch, I wouldn't go to the window and watch. That's it.
So you're telling me your pee was orbiting the Earth?
Apparently, yes. I never thought of it that way, but yes, for a little bit until it crystallized, it kind of disappeared.
No, then it would re-enter the atmosphere.
Yes. Well.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yes. I
that's
peed
the
on
physics of it.
everybody.
You peed on Earth.
Yes, I guess
oh
so.
my gosh.
Now the secret's out. That's it. Yeah. It is possible to pee upside down, which is kind of cool. And it is treated and it is reused. So as my friend Don Pettit says, today's coffee is tomorrow's coffee. As you're sitting on this thing, but your butt could still come off the back of it, and that's not good. So in order to keep your butt on the toilet seat, we had these 2 little arms that would press you into the seat. Actually, to help myself get the right position, as I put my arms up like this, like I was riding a chopper. I thought of Peter Fonda in a movie called Easy Rider. And that was a good alignment for me. The poop remained in the toilet. The more experienced recovery technicians would know that ahead of time and be prepared for it.
probably roughly around day 71, we will have to change it again. But urine gets recycled. So from the pretty complicated hydraulic equipment that is behind here and makes the use of the toilet in space possible, the urine actually gets directly transferred to another piece of equipment which is here in the floor, which is called UPA, Urine Processing Assembly, which is the first step into turning urine into potable water.
What does the ISS smell like? There's one smell up here that's really unique though, and that is the smell, we just call it the smell of space, but we experience it when I haven't had a chance to do a spacewalk yet. I'm still waiting and hoping for that. But when other guys did and they came back in, after we repressurized and opened up the volume for them to come back into the station, there's this really, really strong metallic smell. And I don't know exactly what it is. Something to do with maybe atomic oxygen interacting with the suit materials, or we're not exactly sure what it is. It's a very distinct smell, and it's the smell of space. It's really cool.
And it's just something that it's a continual occurrence. It's like a very small rain, a drizzle, and it's just something that you have to engineer around when you make a spacecraft.
And then as soon as they wanted to open the hatch, the cosmonaut and astronaut who were with me told me, "Are you ready for the smell of space? Because it's a very unique smell, and this is the only time you can smell it." So I was ready there, and they opened the hatch, and I took a good whiff, and it smelled something like a burnt cookie. And I kept telling them, "It smells weird. It's very
People
unique."
are baking in space.
I know.
When they opened the hatch, did Dragon have that new car smell?
It absolutely did. In fact, there was a little bit of space smell in the vestibule, and then when we got that hatch open, you could tell it was a brand new vehicle. Space smell.
Things don't smell the same.
Their burnt steak and gunpowder smell that many astronauts report in the airlock. That's one of the few smells you can smell strongly.
You're inside the spaceship most of the time. The only time you could smell space is when you come back in from a spacewalk. And as you repressurize the airlock and open the hatch, there's a distinctive smell to it. And it smells a little bit like being on a shooting range, like that sort of lingering gunpowder cordite smell. So maybe A little bit like brimstone. A little bit like brimstone. That's what space smells like.
Owen from San Francisco says, they say that the sense of smell creates the strongest memories for a person. What does the ISS smell like, and what scent do you miss on Earth? The ISS, we've got a really good filtering system. There's air flowing. In fact, everything you hear when you're up here is fans going and air circulating. So we're constantly getting a fresh supply of oxygen. We're constantly getting the carbon dioxide scrubbed and all the other things filtered out. So it really doesn't smell, although when we first docked with the shuttle, there was a noticeable smell, but you get accustomed to it very quickly, so I can't tell anything anymore. There's one smell up here that's really unique, though, and that is the smell. We just call it the smell of space, but we experience it when I haven't had a chance to do a spacewalk yet. I'm still waiting and hoping for that. But when other guys did and they came back in, after we repressurized and opened up the volume for them to come back into the station, there's this really, really strong metallic smell. And I don't know exactly what it is. Something to do with maybe atomic oxygen interacting with the suit materials, or we're not exactly sure what it is. It's a very distinct smell, and it's the smell of space. It's really cool.
When you come in from a spacewalk, you're surrounded by the emptiness of space. It's sort of like the opposite of air. There's nothing there at all. When you quickly repressurize the hatch and you open up the hatch and you smell, what is that lingering smell from a place that used to be exposed to space? The smell in there is a little bit like that trace of a smell of gunpowder or burnt steak, or sort of like brimstone, like a witch has just been there. It's a cool, lingering trace of a smell. I think what it really is, brimstone, like sort of that metallic gunpowder-fired smell, like a witch has just been there.
And he will imprison those angels who have shown unrighteousness in that burning valley which my grandfather Enoch had formerly shown to me in the west among the mountains of gold and silver and iron and soft metal and tin. And I saw that valley in which there was a great convulsion, and a convulsion of the waters. And when all this took place, from that fiery molten metal and from the convulsion thereof in that place, there was produced a smell of sulfur, and it was connected with those waters. And that valley of the angels who had led astray mankind burned beneath that land. And through its valleys proceed streams of fire, where these angels are punished, who had led astray those who dwell upon the earth.
And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day.
The weird part about it is space is so incredibly black, so incredibly dark. It's a bottomless pit of deep black. Almost so deep it almost has a texture when you look at it. And
Even darkness which may be felt.
Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, Thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve.
name is Emily, and my question is, how does it feel to know that you are
A lot of us
floating
say
in a
that the
piece
earth
of
is
metal
flat,
in an endless
and it
void?
sounds crazy.
Get thee hence,
It sounds
Satan.
like that couldn't be true. Because we live on a globe. But let me try to explain a little bit from my point of view why I would say that the earth is flat. Why would someone at age, 5 years ago I was 38. Why did I start saying, hey, I think the earth is flat? And why did I buy some nice optics and telescopes and start researching and studying the sky and studying how far we can see on the surface of this earth? Why would I do that? A lot of people would say, Joe says the earth is flat because he wants to be special. He has a need to be different, or, wants to be looked at differently or something. And I totally get that. But what I would actually say myself is that it's not because I want anything. It's because I was called by Jesus to be a witness of his marvelous light and to give my testimony about what I bear witness to. That's why I say the earth is flat. And there's another reason too. Because of what Paul said in 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 10 through 12.
And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness.
The people who don't receive the love of the truth will be damned. So it has nothing to do with Joe wanting to feel special or any of these other people that are saying these same things. We don't want to feel special. We love you and care about you and have learned supernaturally and seen supernaturally the truth in this world. And this world is full of lies. And the lies don't seem like lies because we were all born believing them. Our parents believed them. Their parents believed them. And now people have seen the truth. And it surrounds you in this world. It surrounds you. Water at its surface, when at rest, is flat, level, horizontal. It doesn't take a curved shape. That's only in your imagination. I have proved this in reality to myself, and I have my YouTube channel that I share publicly my observations. And maybe you haven't gone out to do these observations and see, to prove to yourself that if we were on a spinning ball, two things. It must curve, which it doesn't, and it's spinning, which it isn't. So we were born believing the opposite of our perceptions and the senses that we have, and we were born believing the opposite. And now it's ridiculed to actually observe the world that we live in and on, and to prove things about it. It's 2020, guys. We have the best equipment. We have the best communications. We have worldwide instant communication. We have the best optics that have ever been. It's 2020. We can know if the earth is a ball spinning in outer space or if it's a flat plane that God made. God's in heaven. Remember that. And also remember, this is my testimony. Jesus showed this to me. He opened my eyes, and I could see something when I turned, not when I turned, but around 37 or 38. years old. It changed. My eyes were open. My perceptions were used more clearly. I could see clearer. I comprehend things that I didn't even know existed. He showed me the truth, and I want you to see it because it's crucial for your eternal life. And that is my testimony.
I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, that thou mayest be rich, and white raiment, that thou mayest be clothed, and that the shame of thy nakedness do not appear. And anoint thine eyes with eye salve, that thou mayest see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Be zealous therefore and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcometh will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame, and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches.
NASA live. We don't live on a spinning ball. Earth is flat.
Closely following the recovery of the Discoverer capsule at Cape Canaveral, another historic satellite is ready for launching. In this nose cone is packed the 100-foot balloon of Echo 1 to be carried into orbit by a Thor-able Delta rocket. It's only the second firing of this three-stage missile, but the 92-foot rocket performs flawlessly. This launching, closely followed by successful tests of Atlas and Polaris rockets, was a landmark in America's spectacular two-day display of progress in space research.
This is the satellite, a huge empty balloon, here shown while still in its hangar. The inflated balloon is 10 stories high, made of a strong, new aluminized plastic. Strong, yet only half as thick as the cellophane around a package of cigarettes. Strong, yet only half as thick as the cellophane around a package of cigarettes. Its aluminum coating gives it nearly 100% reflectivity. That balloon will soon be hurtling across the sky 1,000 miles high over North America. It will be bounced off a man-made satellite. If it works, it will be the first time voice has traveled from the Earth up to a man-made moon and back to Earth again.
This is President Eisenhower speaking. It is a great personal satisfaction to participate in this first experiment in communication.
President Eisenhower's voice was picked up loud and clear, making Echo a success.
Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. They became fools. They became fools. They became fools.
It's our privilege today to
change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
I will ascend into heaven. I will ascend into heaven. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Instances, but it's going to see back in time to the very dawn of light in the universe, the very beginning of space and time. We're going to be able to see that, the very first light in the universe. We have models over what that might look like. Bill Nye knows exactly what it looks like.
Oh, sure I do.
But what we know is that our models are not right, and we're going to learn a lot. We're going to be able to see out to the very edge of the universe.
And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night.
Watch this. Yeah, watch this.
What would you say you do here?
And many chiefs of the stars shall transgress the order prescribed, and these shall alter their orbits and tasks, and not appear at the seasons prescribed to them. And the whole order of the stars shall be concealed from the sinners, and the thoughts of those on the earth shall err concerning them. And they shall be altered from all their ways, yea, they shall err and take them to be gods. And evil shall be multiplied upon them, and punishment shall come upon them so as to destroy all.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven.
I think both Jeff and I believe that it's important for the future to be a spacefaring civilization and out there, ultimately be out there among the stars. And I think that's the exciting, inspiring future that I think certainly people in this room want, and anyone...
I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
In that parable, I saw how the heaven of heavens was shaken violently, and then the host of the Most High and the angels, 1,000 thousands and 10,000 times 10,000, were extremely disturbed. I saw how the heaven of heavens was shaken violently, and fear took hold of me, and my loins collapsed and gave way, and my whole being melted, and I fell upon my face. And the holy Michael sent another holy angel, one of the holy angels, and he raised me. And when he raised me, my spirit returned, for I had been unable to endure the sight of that host, and the disturbance, and the shaking of heaven, and the shaking of heaven, and the shaking of heaven. I saw how the heaven of heavens was shaken violently.
Plus 30 seconds, all 3 reactor engines have power. Starship climbing to 10-kilometer altitude. View on the right shows 3 Raptor engines burning. Everything continues to look nominal right now for the stage and for propulsion. 90 seconds into flight, everything continues to be nominal with Starship. We're just passing through 3-kilometer altitude. Next major event is shutdown of engine number 3.
And the holy Michael said to me, "What sight has disturbed you like this? Until today has the day of his mercy lasted, and he has been merciful and long-suffering towards those who dwell upon the dry ground."
T plus 2 minutes, flight continuing on Starship. As a reminder, this is a test flight to a 10-kilometer altitude. Engine number 3 shut down on time as planned. We're continuing to climb on 2 engines.
And the sound of the noise of their chariots was heard. And when this occurred, the holy ones observed it from heaven, and the pillars of the earth were shaken from their foundations, and the sound was heard from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven throughout the day. And all will fall down and worship the Lord of spirits. And this is the end of the second parable.
Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, "Let us break their bands asunder, and cast away their cords from us." He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. I will declare the decree. The Lord hath said unto me, "Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee." And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, "Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Jesus which is taken up from you into heaven shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven." And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them throughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
We could resume the dream of Apollo. The goal of SpaceX really was to make as much progress as possible, to advance rocket technology to the point where hopefully we can establish a colony on Mars. Dream of Apollo.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon.
And we could resume the dream of Apollo.
The angel of the bottomless pit.
Apollo.
Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour, the friction of air slows Orion considerably, while also subjecting it to temperatures of 5,000 degrees. With the Orion now at just 300 miles per hour,
choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
And we could resume the dream of Apollo. The goal of SpaceX really was to make as much progress as possible, to advance rocket technology to the point where hopefully we can establish a colony on Mars. Dream of Apollo.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon.
Apollo.
Apollyon,
And we could resume the dream of Apollo.
the angel of the bottomless pit,
Apollo.
NASA is now embarking on a bold new program called Artemis. Artemis is the twin sister of Apollo,
which is the angel of the bottomless pit,
and the goddess of the moon in Greek mythology.
50 years ago, we went to the moon. We called it Apollo.
What many people don't know is that Apollo had a twin.
She was a woman named Artemis, goddess of the moon.
It is the stated policy of this administration and the United States of America to return American astronauts to the moon within the next 5 years.
Our agency, NASA, is going to do everything in its power to meet that vision.
We're proud of what we do here, so come join NASA as we go forward to the moon and on to Mars.
What were each of the crew's, well, each of your biggest impressions of the experience and sensations associated with the Falcon 9 ride to orbit? This question gets asked a lot, actually. So how does it feel to ride in a Dragon on top of the beast named Falcon 9?
Yeah, wow. I tell you, I don't know if there's words really to properly describe what that felt like. You know, you talk about sitting on a dragon on top of the beast, and it definitely was. You knew you were going somewhere. You know, it actually all started earlier than that when we were doing the fueling operations, and it's talking to you the whole time. It's very, very interesting to hear all of the noises that are going on from the fueling. But then once we lifted off the pad, man, it was exciting. It was an incredible ride. The throttle down, when it throttled back up, boy, you felt it. You knew you were going somewhere. The staging was incredible. We were all just smiling and beaming and high-fiving. It was an amazing experience.
Yep. And I would add to that everything that he said, and then just the G-loads that you get, and compared to the Soyuz, it's a completely different experience.
How many people and this one was a little bit longer, so we actually had to live in Dragon for quite a while.
Images. Excitement and joy to have successfully landed another rover on the surface of Mars. This rover is an epic effort. It represents 8 years of hundreds of engineers at the laboratory, thousands around the world, a total of over 4,000 human years of investment. When we do such investments, we do them for humanity, and we do them as a gesture of our humanity. When I think back on our human space exploration, I am brought to remember the images that bring us as humans into that process. The first of which is the iconic image of Buzz Aldrin taken by Neil Armstrong on the Sea of Tranquility on July 20th of 1969. We were there with Buzz on the moon in that image. The next is Saturn, seen from Voyager 1 spacecraft, looking back at the planet after the first encounter. As a youth, this image brought to life the experience of space exploration. Another one from the 90s, the beautiful Pillars of Creation, taken by the Hubble Space Telescope, the image released April 1st of 1995.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
How many people were brought into the act of exploring space?
And their spirits, assuming many different forms, are defiling mankind and shall lead them astray into sacrificing to demons as gods.
In our efforts to engineer spacecraft and explore our solar system.
And there I saw 7 stars of the heaven bound together in it, like great mountains and burning with fire. Then I said, for what sin are they bound? And on what account have they been cast in hither? Then said Uriel, one of the holy angels, who was with me and was chief over them, and said, Enoch, why dost thou ask, and why art thou eager for the truth? These are the number of the stars of heaven, which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord, and are bound here till 10,000 years, the time entailed by their sins are consummated. And he said unto me, this place is the prison of the angels, and here they will be imprisoned forever.
That we might be able to someday contribute yet another iconic image to this collection. And I'm happy to say that I'm hopeful that today we can with this. This is an image of the rover Perseverance slung beneath the descent stage, its propulsion backpack, as it is being lowered to the surface of Mars. You can see the dust kicked up by the rover's engines. We're probably about 2 meters or so above the surface of Mars. We're still checking the timing of this image. It's just hot off the presses. You can see the mechanical bridles that hold the rover underneath the descent stage. There's 3 straight lines heading down to the top deck. And then the curly electrical umbilical that is taking all of the electrical signals from the descent stage down to the computer inside the belly of the rover. In fact, the 1s and 0s that represent this image will travel down that umbilical before it is cut and the rover is left safe on the surface of Mars.
We were just kind of like on cloud 9, and all of us were just saying we were kind of in this weird dream-like state where like we can't actually believe that this is what we're seeing, like the reality of it. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And kudos to our imaging science, Justin Mackey, for getting these images up into the MSA for all of us to just like gaze in awe at.
And I can't believe that I'm now seeing the rover on its way to the surface of Mars. And the science team, Pauline wasn't kidding. As soon as we got that color image from the surface of Mars, our chats just lit up with the science team saying, look over here and look over here. And that's exactly what we were hoping for. And we can't believe that we're really doing science now on the surface of Mars.
Hello, and congratulations on those pictures. My question's for Adam. I don't know how you got through your intro to that rover landing picture there so calmly, because it's epic. Certainly gave me chills. So many people kind of just carried on with their lives yesterday, unaware of what was going on Mars. And I wonder, how do you explain to people the sheer significance and awesomeness of that picture and this landing, and what you're going to be getting up to on Mars? Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. You know, I mentioned earlier that these things are hard. There's no doubt about that. It takes hundreds, thousands of people, years of effort. And insofar as it is that difficult, it represents a huge human lift to make this happen. So that image and the details therein really pull us humans here on Earth into the result of all of that hard work. You are brought into the surface of Mars. You're sitting there 7 meters off the surface of the rover, looking down. I mean, the I don't know if you can see this. I can. The plumes are hitting the surface of Mars, kicking up little wisps of dust. You can see on the upper right of the upper left of the image and the lower right of the image, you can see these little dust plumes in that on the surface of Mars, kicked up by our engines. So it's exhilarating. It is absolutely exhilarating, and it is evocative of those other images from our experience as human beings moving out into our solar system. Those images that bring us into the process of our exploration. And I'm so happy that we can contribute another to that collection. The beautiful pillars of creation as human beings moving out into our solar system. Creation. How many people were brought into the act of exploring space by these fantastic, iconic images on our human space exploration?
All of us were just saying we were kind of in this weird dream-like state where we can't actually believe. It was just unbelievable.
Can't believe that, and we can't believe that we're really doing science now on the surface of Mars.
Unbelievable, 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 unbelievable.
Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. They are brought down and fallen, but we are risen and stand upright. Save, Lord. Let the King hear us when we call.
It's a good day to be. This event is something that all of humanity can get excited about. It's just a fundamentally positive, good thing. I think we need more positive, good things in this world. This is hopefully the first step on a journey towards a civilization on Mars, life becoming multiplanetary, based on the moon and expanding beyond Earth, and life becoming a multi-planet species, life becoming multiplanetary for the first time in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth. I think this is hopefully the first step on that journey. It will require a tremendous amount of innovation and technology development to make going to orbit and ultimately beyond orbit a routine matter where thousands and perhaps ultimately millions of people can travel to other planets. That's what we really need to achieve over time. That's obviously a very difficult goal, but that's seeming increasingly real with what happened today. Getting people to orbit, finally after 18 years. If we are able to increase the rate of innovation, then life can become multiplanetary. This is the goal we should strive for. Yeah, human spaceflight was always the goal, the fundamental goal of SpaceX. Well, like I said, to create the technologies or help create the technologies necessary to make life sustainably multiplanetary. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is the thing that we need to do. We must make life sustainably multiplanetary. It's not one planet to the exclusion of another, but to extend life beyond Earth. We are life's agent in this regard. All the creatures and the plants and everyone that exist here on Earth, we can bring them to other planets, and it's very important that we do so as soon as possible, I think, while the window of opportunity is open. I call upon the public to support this goal, and to think about this goal, and think about how important it is, and how fundamental it is to the future. We've got to get it done. The launching satellites is nice, of course, and it keeps we've got to bring in more money than we spend. This is important, but it's ultimately all about life beyond Earth.
money from the sale of PayPal. You decided to build a space company. Why on earth would someone do that?
For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God.
The goal of SpaceX is to try to advance rocket technology, and in particular to try to crack a problem that I think is vital for humanity to become a spacefaring civilization.
I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
Which is to have a rapidly and fully reusable rocket.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast.
What are the things that need to happen in order for the future to be an exciting and inspiring one? And I really think there's a fundamental difference if you sort of look into the future between a humanity that is a spacefaring civilization that's out there exploring the stars on multiple planets. And I think that's really exciting, and compared with one where we are forever confined to Earth until at some eventual extinction event.
Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
But the big innovation is still ahead, and you're working on it now. Tell us about this.
It's important that the rocket stages be able to come back, to be able to return to the launch site and be ready to launch again within a matter of hours.
Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved.
Wow. Yeah. Reusable rocket.
Yes.
I guess paves the way for your dream to actually take, at some point, to take humanity to Mars at scale.
SpaceX or some combination of companies and governments need to make progress in the direction of making life multiplanetary, of establishing a base on another planet, on Mars being the only realistic option, and then building that base up until we're a true multi-planet species.
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven.
In April 2016, SpaceX announced that they are planning to send a mission to Mars, potentially as soon as 2018. This mission, known as Red Dragon, would be privately funded, receive support and guidance from NASA.
And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads.
Meet the Dragon 2, a capsule currently being developed by SpaceX as the successor to their original Dragon capsule, which has been supplying the International Space Station since 2012.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon.
How have you done this? These projects are so... These PayPal, SolarCity, Tesla, SpaceX, they're so spectacularly different. They're such ambitious projects at scale. How on earth has one person been able to innovate in this way? What is it about you? Almost no one can do that.
And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people.
Elon Musk, I wish we had all day, but thank you so much for coming today. Thank you. That was awesome.
I saw a deep abyss with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw columns of fire fall, which were beyond measure, alike towards the height and towards the depth. And beyond that abyss, I saw a place which had no firmament of the heaven above, and no firmly founded earth beneath it. There was no water upon it, and no birds, but it was a waste and horrible place. I saw there 7 stars, like great burning mountains, and to me, when I inquired regarding them, the angel said,
This place is the end of heaven and earth. This has become a prison for the stars and host of heaven.
And the stars which roll over the fire are they which have transgressed the commandment of the Lord in the beginning of their rising, because they did not come forth at their appointed times. And he was wroth with them, and bound them till the time when their guilt should be consummated, even for 10,000 years.
It's actually very surreal. First, you're launched on a rocket. You're pulling G's as you're going out of the atmosphere. You're looking at the Earth for the first time. You're floating. Everything is different, and it just is all just such a different experience that
everything just floats. And sometimes that is really difficult to believe that it could actually be true.
it almost doesn't seem real.
It's so amazing and such an incredible feeling that it's difficult to believe sometimes that it's actually happening.
It almost doesn't seem real. In fact, when I did my space shuttle flight for 2 weeks in 2008, when I got back, you could have convinced me I never went.
Difficult to believe that it could actually be true.
You could have convinced me I never went. This experience is so unusual and so different than anything you've ever done in your life.
You know, it was a movie.
I didn't think that it would actually come true.
That it's hard to grasp at all.
They over-dramatize things.
I'll tell you, it is still difficult to believe that this is happening.
I came back and my memories were there, but it almost didn't seem real.
In the large swimming pool.
And believing that it could happen.
That it's hard to grasp at all.
How insignificant really we are as humans.
It almost didn't seem real. I think we tend to.
The actors overreact to situations.
It just keeps getting better and better.
Live in our bubble of our world.
So I'm going to tell you about.
It's difficult to describe exactly how it just feels different.
Obviously, not very realistic.
What I have here is a cartoon of how we measure dark matter. In cosmology, we measure distances with a unit called Z. So we're here at Z of 0. We're the observer. We're 0 distance from ourselves. And here's our telescope. And we look at distant galaxies out in the universe. These distant galaxies that are of Z about 1. And that might sound like a small distance, but how we do it in cosmology is a distance of 1 is actually about halfway to the edge of the visible universe. So this is a very distant galaxy. In the absence of anything between us and that galaxy.
And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters."
And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day.
The light from this galaxy would take a straight path to us. But we know from the work that Vera Rubin and others did that there's all this dark matter out there in the universe. And we're particularly sensitive with this technique to dark matter that's about halfway between us and the distant galaxy. Excuse me. One of the consequences of Einstein's theory of relativity, our theory of gravity, is that mass bends space. So what this means is the light, when it gets near this dark matter, won't take a straight path to us. That light is going to take a distorted and curved path. And I'm showing a very, very exaggerated version of that here, so it's easier to see. The consequence of this is that we will not see the galaxy as it actually is. We'll see a distorted version of the galaxy. So the dark matter between us, which we can't see, has distorted our image of this distant galaxy. And in doing so, it's telling us something about the dark matter. So I'm going to tell you with one more analogy. I'm going to use another analogy for how we measure dark matter. This is a penny in a pool. That's the analogy here. And full disclosure, Alina and I don't actually have a pool. So you're looking at a penny in our bathtub. But penny in the pool sounds better. So in this analogy, the penny is like the distant galaxy. And the water in our bathtub or the water in a pool is like the dark matter. You don't see the water here, but you know it's there because you see the effect on the image of the penny. So what's happening is the light is coming to us from the penny, and it's taking some distorted path that changes our perceived shape of the penny so that we know the water is there. So that we know the water is there. In much the same way as the light from a distant galaxy comes to us, takes a distorted path through the dark matter, and we see a distorted image of that galaxy. But we don't see the dark matter. We don't see the water. So that we know the water is there. I could tell the density of the water and how much water there was, and that's going to tell us a lot about the properties of dark matter. That's how we're learning about dark matter now, and that's how we're going to learn about dark matter in the future.
He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him were dark waters and thick clouds of the skies.
During the space age, we have increased the knowledge of our universe 1,000-fold.
But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased.
And for people all over the world, I am sure that they too join with Americans in recognizing what an immense feat this is.
Apollyon.
Because of what you have done, the heavens have become a part of man's world.
Apollyon.
And as you talk to us from the sea of tranquility, it inspires us to redouble our efforts to bring peace and tranquility to earth.
For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape.
For one priceless moment in the whole history of man, all the people on this earth are truly one.
Apollyon.
One in their pride in what you have done, and one in our prayers that you will return safely to earth.
And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue hath his name Apollyon. 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 Apollyon.
I look back on those days now of landing on the moon, and I try and put myself in the position of the historians, maybe even off into the future, that look back and see that it was an international challenge and response that prompted the president to chart a course for this nation to go there. And but getting to some specifics, I'm aghast that just almost exactly 6 years to the day after we left the Earth to go to the moon and land, we launched a mission that, in essence, gave the Soviets the ability to say that they're equal to us, technically, and then we proceeded in the next 6 years not to even fly one human in space. And I think it's going to be inconceivable when future historians look back and see that what a tremendous capability was put together by one nation, and then it was sort of set aside and laid to rest.
And reminding us once again of the power and consequence of celestial extracurricular activities.
Apollyon.
Many Americans were part of Apollo.
Apollyon.
About 1 or 2 in each 1,000 citizens, all across the country. They were asked by their country to do the impossible, to envisage, to design, and to build a method of breaking the bonds of Earth's gravity.
Apollyon.
And then sally forth and visit another heavenly body.
Apollyon.
The principal elements, leaving Earth, navigating in space, and descending to a planet unencumbered with runways and traffic controls, would include the major requirements necessary for a spacefaring people.
Apollyon.
Today, a space shuttle flies overhead with an international crew. Today we have with us a group of students, among America's best. To you, we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered. breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers. One of truth's protective layers.
Just a day before he died, President Kennedy compared our space program to a boy who comes upon a wall in an orchard. The wall is tall, it looks insurmountable, but the boy is curious about what lies on the other side. So he throws his cap over the wall, and then he has no choice but to go after it. Well, 25 years ago today, our nation, represented by these three brave men, made that climb. And so today we are gathered to celebrate their voyage, and I honestly hope to recommit ourselves to their spirit of discovery. Apollo, their spirit 11, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins were our guides to the wondrous, the unimaginable at that time, the true handiwork of God. They realized the dreams of a nation. They fulfilled an American destiny. They taught us that nothing is impossible if we set our sights high enough.
And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
Today we're honored to have them and all the other Apollo astronauts who are here with us. For every American who followed your journey, especially for those of us who were young on that fateful day 25 years ago, and for the young Americans who still dream dreams of a future in space, we thank you all. Looking back on that mission, one thing is clear that we ought to remember today. It wasn't easy. The ship to the heavens measured just 13 feet in diameter.
Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off, as on this side according to it. And every one that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it. I will bring it forth, saith the Lord of hosts. And it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof, and the stones thereof.
The destination was 3 days and a world away. On the third day, as the tiny module descended to the moon, it came dangerously close to a crash landing. That happens around here all the time. But Neil Armstrong took over the controls from the computer and landed safely. Man had not been rendered obsolete by the mechanical, and that hasn't happened yet. Not long after that, when he stepped on the moon, Mr. Armstrong marked the outer limit of the human experiment with those simple words, one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Apollyon.
These men and the other astronauts who came before and after have helped us to step into another world right here on Earth. They've shown us that we can harness the technology of space in areas from the economy to the environment to education to information and technology. The products and knowledge that grew out of our space missions has changed our way of life forever and for the better.
Apollyon.
And in our quest, we have relearned a sense of confidence that has always been an essential ingredient of our American dream. Today, that journey continues. Our commitment to the space program is strong and unwavering. The best way to honor these men and all the others who have helped us so much
There is something awesome that I've learned from the prophet Daniel. So I'm going to read you a little story of a vision that he had and wrote down, and then we're going to analyze it in the modern day we live in. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass, when I saw, that I was at Shushan in the palace, which is in the province of Elam. And I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward, and northward, and southward, so that no beasts might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will, and became great. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram, which had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. If you notice all the words or phrases that I have highlighted in blue, you'll notice that they're all Daniel expressing that he is seeing these things he's explaining. He's seeing them with his eyes. And it's very important that we don't forget that. So in verse 3, Daniel says he lifted his eyes and he saw a ram that had 2 horns. Let's look at that word ram, because I think that although it sounds like he's talking about an animal, I don't think he is. In Strong's Concordance, it's number 352, Ayil, A-Y-I-L, and the definition is a ram. And also we will look at Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, which mentions the word post and pilaster. Let's look a couple other places that that word is used in the Bible. In 1 Kings 6 verse 31, it's used as a lintel, which is part of the entrance for Solomon's temple. And also in Ezekiel 40 verse 9, it's used as gateposts. And in both of these cases, it's used as a noun for a projecting pillar or pilaster. In verse 5, Daniel also says that he saw a he-goat that was coming from the west on the face of the whole earth, not touching the ground. That means he was flying. So he saw a goat that was flying, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And in verse 6 it says that he came to the ram that had the 2 horns, which he saw standing by the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. So in verse 10, it says, "And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the host and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them." We live in 2021, and there are things in our world today that fit this description that Daniel visually gives very well. So let's watch a video that I made a few years ago when I first started realizing this, and listen to it again.
Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward, and northward, and southward, so that no beasts might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will, and became great. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his 2 horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great. And when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up 4 notable ones toward the 4 winds of heaven. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great toward the south, and toward the east, and toward the pleasant land. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven. And it cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Yea, he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away.
I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents, and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given you in that same hour what ye shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child. And the children shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end shall be saved. But when they persecute you in this city, flee ye into another. For verily I say unto you, ye shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man be come. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? Fear them not, therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. What I tell you in darkness, that speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. And I looked, and lo, a Lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written in their foreheads.
What sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. And the time draweth near, go ye not therefore after them. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Then he said unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in divers places, and famines and pestilences and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And it shall turn to you for a testimony. Settle it therefore in your hearts not to meditate before what ye shall answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. And ye shall be betrayed both by parents, and brethren, and kinsfolks, and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But there shall not an hair of your head perish. In your patience possess ye your souls. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck, in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captives into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud, with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh.
Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak, and he will show you things to come. He shall glorify me, for he shall receive of mine, and shall show it unto you.